I mean, honestly, I look at the clock already, and I'm like, we've only got so much time. Yeah, we've only got so much time because 5 hours from right now, a basketball game is going to be played, and it might be the last one this season for the Golden State Warriors. It might. So I think we're of the mindset that if you're going to get in something that you want to say about this basketball team this year, this version of the Warriors, my God, you better get it in now. You better get it in right now. So 888-957-9570 is the number. Come on YouTube, come on Twitch, come on Comcast Business Text Line. Let's connect on this, and let's talk it out. What is actually on the line tonight? For me, Dibs, and I will make what I admit is an unfair assumption, but for the purposes of Friday, May... What the hell is it?
It's the 12th, Mark.
12th. Friday, May 12th. Because this is the last time we are going to speak on this series before it ends, right? The series is going to be over when we come back on Monday. The Warriors will either be getting ready for Game 1 against the Nuggets or exit interviews are going to be taking place. These are the options today as we sit here on Friday, May 12th. So, if you win this game tonight, I say to the organization, come hell or high water, when they play again, Steph, Clay, and Draymond are a part of this team in October and in November. If they lose this game tonight, then I think all things are on the table. And there are two very fascinating comments made this week on this station. One by Steve Kerr to us, one by Bob Myers to Steiny and Goo. And Dibs, I thought that they both struck a very different tone. We'll play them for you in a sec. But the basic idea, Kerr says, I was on the Last Dance team. That puppy was done. These three are not done. But Bob Myers says the next day, if we had lost Game 5, that tells you that this isn't working and we're not good enough. So they win Game 5, but we're only 48 hours away from that game. So that tells you what is on the line tonight.
I think everything's on the line. And, you can say what you want to say about the future or the big three and whether or not they want to be together, but it comes down to so much more than just tonight. Because if the Warriors lose tonight, Game 6, and you do exit interviews, and you get a week away, 2 weeks away, 4 weeks away, 6 weeks away from now, and the NBA Finals are over, between now and the end of the NBA Finals and we get into the NBA Draft, Draymond Green will have done multiple podcasts. He will have been on TNT a bunch of times because they're going to want him on their show if he's out of the playoffs. Klay Thompson will have sailed many, many hundreds of nautical miles. Steph Curry would have fed probably 100,000 undernourished or malnourished families. They all would have done their thing. And when push comes to shove and they all want to decide whether or not they want to run it back, Bob has a choice. Draymond has a choice, and all the rest of them have to decide what they want to do with the future.
Yeah, so and it's always odd to me when it feels like you're putting something like that into one game. But this is one of those rare moments where I feel like it's true. That question was thrown out there in part to Bob, and therefore a lot of the guys on the station today, a lot of callers have weighed in on this. Is there a big difference to you if they had lost in 5 versus... let's say they don't win tonight and they lose in 6. To me, the answer is absolutely yes.
I'm with you, yeah.
A 4 or 5 game series is a short one, and a 6 or 7 game series is a long one. And this is probably, if the Warriors lose tonight, this feels to me the same way the Kings probably feel. They're like, damn it, if the Barnes shot goes in,
exactly,
we win. We're right there.
You can, coulda, woulda, shoulda in a 6 or a 7 game loss. If you're the Warriors and you think about Jordan Poole's shot, and you think about the messy Game 4 endgame scenario, even if you lose tonight, you could think, man, we should have had Game 4. We should have been up 3-2 in L.A., and we would have won Game 7 at home. This should have been different. It wasn't, and you know the reality of that, but you could at least feel like, man, if things went a little bit of a different way, we would have won that series. Things would have been different. Yep. If you lose in 5, you can't play that game. Even though, hey, we could have won Game 4, but you still lost 4-1. If Jordan Poole's shot goes in, you still lost 4-1. But if you lose in 6 on the road, knowing that game 4, you didn't dominate it, but you were probably the better team and you lost. It's a little bit easier to justify what you're talking about.
And by the way, I even think there's something to be said for how you lose if you lose. Do you do what Memphis does?
Man.
Memphis is in the mode of, dude, we need to change something. Because we went out there in game 6 and lost by 40. But if this one, and I don't want to think about this because this just sounds nauseating, but if this game's tied with 40 seconds to go and those last 40 seconds go the wrong way, I mean, that's different. That's different. That's a competitive situation. Now, check this out. You'll love this. I didn't even know this. The Bob Myers and Steve Kerr comments that we're talking about, both of them are exactly 35 seconds long.
Wow.
So both of them were given a similar question, and it was almost as if they timed out their answers. They both said, you know what? That's a 35-second question, and here's my answer. Bob Myers, what if you had lost game 5?
What I thought last night going in, Guru, was if we go down 4-1, then we're not very good. I mean, as harsh as that is of a conclusion, if you lose 4-1 in the series, you got beat. You got beat pretty bad. You barely avoided being swept. So my thinking was, I was confident we would win because our guys have proven they respond with their backs up against the wall. But I also had a feeling of if we don't, that kind of gives you your answer, and that's how I looked at it. But I had a good feeling we would win the game.
Okay, spotlight that. That kind of gives you your answer.
Yes.
Don't you translate that as I do, which is Bob is saying if they had lost game 5, well, it's time to do something very different.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because you weren't good enough. You lost in 5 to a team that was a lower seed than you. You were a 6 seed because you weren't that good in the regular year. You needed, not a miracle, but you needed a reach down, gut check performance to even beat Sacramento, a non-playoff team for 16 years, just to advance to this point. Yes, you need to make a change.
Okay, now Steve Kerr asked by us Tuesday, the night before game 5, have you thought about the fact that this could be it for the big 3?
No, never crossed my mind. You know, I mean, I played on those Bulls teams, you know, the Last Dance, and I can tell you from experience, even though everybody now says, well, why didn't they keep that team together? That team was done. That team was finished emotionally, mentally. There was nothing left in the tank. And I don't feel that way about this team at all. I think these guys, Steph, Clay, Draymond, they've got lots to give for years to come. So I never even have stopped to give that a second thought.
So the only difference here is Bob is speaking knowing that they won game 5. Steve is speaking before game 5 even happens.
Right.
Steph, Clay, Dre have lots to give for years to come. Now, I don't know if he's saying that because as a coach, he's just hoping. He would rather coach Steph, Clay, and Dre together.
Of course,
as opposed to be a part of some sort of reboot, rebuild, whatever you have you. So maybe that's an aspect of this. But, Dibs, those are very, very different answers in terms of where we sit right now today, Friday, May 12th.
In terms of where they sit right now, Friday, May 12th, because Bob doesn't know if he is going to come back. And it seems like Bob can decide whether or not he wants to come back. So I think Bob is dealing with his own decision before he even thinks about if Steph, Clay, and Dre have more to give for years to come. And if you're the coach, yes, you were going to say that because those 3 players have given you 4 championships. And Steve's won 9 of the last 27 with Chicago, San Antonio, and now here. And he knows that you don't win another one unless you have all 3 together.
All right, so what's your answer then, everyone? What is on the line tonight? Where do we sit? The future of the big 3. Is it in stone? Or is it a feather blowing in the wind based on the outcome tonight?